Thank you very much. So yeah, I was really excited to talk, and Alistair's not joking. I've been really hounding him to come and talk at one of these events, and I think that that's also born out of this idea that I had, growing up, that one day, I would, people will, there will be a way, a technology, an empathy lab, where people will get to see what it's like to experience life through my eyes, I don't mean that in like a sad sort of violin-y way. I mean it in a, that's going to be cool, because people will then understand what it's like. So, I mean, it's a bit of a mishmash tonight, given the opportunity. It's like, well, what should we talk about? And I thought I'd invite Rose to talk with me, because it's then a bit more of a dialogue, a bit more low-key. Hopefully you guys feel comfortable asking questions as well, as opposed to me, like, sort of doing a scripted thing. And I don't know how to do a scripted thing anyway, so that's what we're doing. So I think I'll just begin, and you will learn who we are throughout the presentation. I do have one request though. It's like the most minor of audience participation pieces. I would just need someone to write something on a piece of paper that I've got in my laptop bag. Big. It's got to be big. Let me just grab this thing. And the thing that this lucky person's going to write is going to be read out, hopefully, by me. So, can I have a volunteer? I need 2 volunteers. One to put their hand up and write something, and the other one to spot who they are and take the paper and pen to them. So it's sort of the worst type of audience participation. Yeah. So just nice big bold letters, fill the paper.
A single word?
Can be something
up
that
to you.
Resembles a number plate.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be a number plate.
No, but that's what.
It'd be good. Yeah, it could be random. Is good because I might recognise it. I might recognise the word pattern, which would give the false impression that I can actually see the word properly, and we don't want that, right?
No.
Okay. So, right, so albinism. It's a funny thing. So I was in Romania. I was going to the dentist, as you do, in Romania, and I went into the dentist, and it was a bit like, it was like someone's house, which is a little bit disconcerting, but anyway, we heard lots of good things about it, and I didn't just find it on the internet. My partner's Romanian, and she recommended it. Anyway, so I'm in there, and I go to the front desk, and she says, oh, the doctor will come and meet you. So I'm waiting at the desk, and the doctor comes out, and he looks at me and he goes, Silos. And I said, no, it's Bryn. And he's like, Silos, Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code. Right? I'm like, fuck. So if you haven't seen the Da Vinci Code, this is what he was referring to, and really innocently, and I was not offended at all. Although, I mean, at time, I mean, if that happens, sort of similar thing happened to you? You had that?
It happens less to me. Yeah. Yeah,
less to you, right? But yeah, maybe there's more male. There's Powder. Do you remember that film?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch it?
Didn't watch it.
No, I didn't watch it.
I'm aware of it.
Aware of it. Yeah. And this one here, O Draconius Devil, right? That's pretty deep. So it's a weird thing, right? There's loads of stereotypes about albinos, and they generally get portrayed in a sort of negative, like evil, certainly odd, weird role. And this was one of them. I can't remember the next slide. And this doesn't show me on there either. So this is the bloke, right? He doesn't look anything like me, except for he's got blonde hair. And there's also another problem with this image, Rose. Do you know? Can you tell me what's wrong with it?
He's it looks like he wants to shoot the gun at someone, which is a little bit of an issue.
Bit of a problem for albino to shoot a gun. Yeah, you definitely don't want us anywhere
near.
Lack
of depth perception.
Yeah, really, really not good. So this is poor research, right? Character research here. Right. Do you know who this guy is? Does anyone know who this bloke is? Scooter. Oh my goodness me. Right. So I used to live in Vienna, and I was in a club, and a girl came up to me and she said, "Mr. Scooter." Good morning. Yeah. So I love that. It's just it's absolutely off the wall. So it's Mr. Scooter. No, I'm not. But it was kind of flattering and also a little not so flattering at the same time. But so I don't really know what that's about, you know. But there's this whole like blondness thing, right? That people just seem to think that you're the famous blonde person that I know.
Yeah.
Did you get one? Did you have something?
I used to get Gwen Stefani.
Gwen Stefani, right? Was she blonde?
I think she was at one point.
At one point, yeah. And you were not blonde several times.
No, I used to dye my hair.
Yeah, okay. Gwen Stefani, that's pretty good.
Yeah, better than Scooter.
Better than Scooter, yeah. It's not a competition, but fair enough. Right, okay. Does this look familiar? Nah? Keanu Reeves? Nah? All right, maybe this will jog your memory. It's from The Matrix. Took the inspiration from us sitting in a car in Walthamstow, right?
Yeah.
So that's the other one as well. So The Matrix, Scooter doesn't really happen very often, but The Matrix and Silas, or whatever his name is, from Da Vinci Code are definitely ones that I kind of get that people think of. Right, what about this, Rose? Do you know?
Well,
do you know what this is all about?
I believe this is Tanzania.
Oh, that's pretty specific. Is that because we rehearsed?
Yes, that is because we did skim over the slide.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, but when I showed you this the first time, you were like, huh, and you had to think about it, and you also arrived at Tanzania, right?
Yeah, with a bit of prompting of maybe where was one of the worst places that you might want to go on holiday if you're an albino.
Yeah, because albino bones are at a premium, and you could, for witch doctor use within what do you call that? Witch doctory?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but yeah, it's always been somewhere I just not keen to go. Maybe
Zanzibar. If you want to get to Zanzibar, you've got to go.
All right. Well, it's all right.
It's off the table. So, but it's a real thing. It's not a mythical thing. It's well documented. Yeah. So the albino bones, little fingers, in particular. So, yeah, it's kind of. I mean, maybe it's funny. Maybe it's funny for us. Maybe very disturbing when you're hearing it for the first time. So we'll just move on from that one. Growing up, right? Because what happens when you grow up, they're really sort of defining years, right?
Yeah.
And you learn a lot about society, subconsciously, and people's reactions towards you. And there's certainly a lot of innocence when you're a kid, and you get older, and it sort of gets shattered, progressively, right?
Yeah. To
everyone though, not just for someone who's maybe looking a little bit different or has a disability or whatever. But yeah, growing up, we'll sort of go through the stages. This is a very sweet picture of me and Rose when we were kids, and we're wearing glasses. We're not wearing glasses now, and that's not because technology has sort of moved on. It's why is it? It's because they don't really help us. They don't really help, yeah. And they correct a little bit of the vision. We've both had reading glasses at times. I've got some reading glasses. I don't even take them into work very often, and they're very thick. Actually, we've got some bits here. So whilst we're talking about this, we're going to pass a few bits round. These are more fields, right? So they've got to come back.
Yeah, they need to come back. More fields
we'll start there. That's a magnifying glass.
So the smaller ones are for looking long distance, and it's a monocular, so you just look at one eye, because we only see out of one eye at a time.
And this guy.
And obviously the magnifying glasses are magnifying glasses.
So imagine you're a kid and you don't know what the hell that is that I've just given to you, and you try and figure it out. I know you have just kind of explained it, but I wasn't really listening. But basically, yeah, monocular, that's one eye. The reason that we've got a monocular, not two, is because we can only look out of one eye at a time, right?
Yeah, and we can't see very far, so that's why we have the monocular.
In the first place.
When I was younger, I used to use it for stuff like going on school trips, looking at pictures in art galleries, that sort of thing. Theoretically, using it to read what was on a blackboard or something like that. In reality, though, you don't really want to be getting that out.
No.
In school.
Don't want to get
trying to blend in.
No, I mean No, you don't want it. It's just not. No, that wasn't. Maybe that's more of a personal thing. I've kind of probably take a punt on the fact that it's not, and that a kid just taking out this monocular or big magnifying glass going around the room. It's. Do you know what I mean? You don't really want to do that. But they do work. People use binoculars in the opera. You can blend in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go there. Season ticket holder. Right. What else do we want to talk about the eyes? So the albinism, it's got some common traits. There's different types of. There's ocular albinism, so it has a lack of pigment and the eye conditions, but doesn't have the lack of pigment in the hair and the skin. But the albinism that we have, I believe, is a kind of common form of albinism.
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe, yeah.
Ironically, I don't think either of us know that much about the technical side of it, but basically it affects our hair with a lack of pigment, so it's pretty white, light. Same with the skin. We also burn very easily in the sun. In terms of eyesight, we only see two-dimensionally, so we have no depth perception, and I'm not sure why exactly that is. Something not being formed properly due to the lack of pigment and this recessive gene. And then the nystagmus, which is the rapid eye movement, which just affects, as far as I know, how the eyes can focus. It also, I've had lots of people assuming that I'm very high on acid or something like that, which is a classic one. It's all right.
Let's have a look at that. Those acid eyes.
Yeah.
Right. It's bit intense there with the nose. But if you can notice that if you can see this, but my eyes are moving, right? And if you get close enough to me and to Rose, then you'll notice that the eyes are moving. We're not taking LSD constantly, despite what some people have thought. I also got the LSD thing.
Yeah. And you also see on this video, so one of Bryn's eyes is actually going in slightly. It tends to cross. I had surgery to correct mine because I'm a little vainer than Bryn.
Well, I'm catching up. I'm also thinking about the surgery as well, which is an interesting thing because it's just I suppose we're up here talking about it, but it doesn't mean that we're not self-conscious, You were saying, I should put my fake tan on. Because you like the fake tan, right?
I do use fake tan, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like the fake tan. But I was saying, well, you should do whatever you feel comfortable doing, whatever we do normally, I don't know, it's kind of, you're kind of caught between trying to hide stuff and show stuff off. It's a bit of a weird one, but we'll come back to that anyway, right?
Yeah, and I think just to say as well that as well as the lack of depth perception, we're also very sensitive to bright lights, especially daylight. And it's not that we're either long or short-sighted, we just have crappy vision at both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. It's just all-rounder.
Yeah, all-round rubbish.
All-round rubbish, right. So who's written the lovely message that I'm going to try and read? All right, oh, in the back. Right, Rose, can you go and get it?
Good one.
No, all right, okay, all right, I'll go and get it. It's at the back. Okay, I'm not going to look at it because it'd be cheating, but I'm going to look at the floor. Yeah, lovely stuff. All right. Okay, so this is to try and show you. It's people don't get what we can and can't see, and I must admit, it's very hard to explain. Like Rose said, it is. We're not. You know, it's all round rubbish. So I'm going to.
Just so everyone else can see.
If you turn it over this and other things on the other side, yeah.
Does it matter?
Apparently.
Which one do we go for? This one, maybe? All right.
Can anyone see? Some people see that. Yeah. Some is good. All right. I definitely can't see that. So I'm going to. I can see a white paper. I can see some black letters. I kind of know that's what I'm looking for, so that's helpful. And if I start walking in closer, I'm trying to read it. So possibly an E, definitely. T and O, 6, 7, T. So that's to give you an idea, right, of what's going on. Of course, if the letters were bolder, then maybe I could make them out a bit better from a bit further back. But that is a problem. Reading things up close, you know, I've got a bottle, here's the Highland Spring water, it's got some small print under there. I don't expect you to see it, but it's just typical small print. Not a chance, no way in hell can we read that. Take the phone out, take a picture if you're, if you want to be seen taking pictures of Highland Spring water bottles to read the labels, which, you know, again, it's a sort of, I shouldn't really care about that, right? But somehow I kind of do sometimes. But like shopping, right? If we're going shopping, you want to know how much something is, you could ask someone, you could take a picture of the label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can.
You can, yeah, okay. Let's move on. Come on. What are you doing? There we go. So blackboards, I mean, I don't know what it means. It's just a Google image, but it was a bit like this when we were growing up. It might as well have been like this. It was very difficult to be academic. I'm not, you know, there's loads of artists in our family, so I'm not even sure we've got any sort of, you know, the right genes for that type of thing. But coupled with the vision impairment, we really didn't thrive in the classroom.
No, definitely didn't
right.
thrive.
No.
Quite the opposite.
When did you dropped out of school?
I dropped out of school pretty much when I was 14.
14, yeah.
That was partly my personality as well. But I do think not being able to see and engage, and after constantly sort of putting my hand up saying, I can't see, and just never really getting the support, I definitely lost interest.
Yeah, and I think in a similar way, I actually did persevere. I went to university as well, and I did very sort of hands-on, more practical stuff as opposed to sort of theoretical stuff like media studies. I don't even think you can do that as an A. Someone told me you can't do that as an A level anymore. And I did art. You know, it's all subjective. You know, anything you do is fine, right? But the what did I want to say? There was a good point to make in there. So I actually had to compensate for, you know, to fit in. I basically acted up, and I think that's very common for kids that have, you know, a disability, basically, right? So if you can't, you have an option. You can, like you say, put your hand up and explain to them again. Try and explain to them again because you don't really know why you can't use glasses to fix the problem. Or you can just choose not to participate and just, you know, be like a whatever class clown, or right?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So, and that was good fun. I really enjoyed doing that, but I didn't learn a huge amount, and that's why I did the whole art thing. But I really think that it's the participation. You know, when you can't participate. Which is maybe one of the underlying sort of points of this whole discussion, is there's like emotions that come with that, you know, like rejection and inadequacy and shame and things like that, and that happens really at a young age, you know, and definitely for me anyway.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, okay. Daily grind. All right, get ready. This is what we've not past 9 o'clock. It won't stay there for a long time. But it's happening. Boom! Look at that. All right, okay. So quickly get rid of that. What do you do for a living, Rose?
I'm a pole dancer, so I teach and I perform cabaret shows. I also dance in clubs every now and again. So yeah, that's my.
And this is you
occupation.
showing your guns.
This is my biceps and me in my studio. Biceps.
So, and that's me being the opposite, being really boring and not. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, there were clothes on the previous.
Yeah,
rows.
it's fully clothed.
There were clothes,
fully
absolutely were clothes. So you know, do you know what I mean? So it's all good. And but I am pretty boring in comparison. I'm looking at some Jiras, for those of you who know what they are, for a company called Site Improve. And of course, I should have said this, but obviously, this has got nothing to do with Site Improve today. This is just personal stuff that we're talking about. So. But yeah, anyway, and I think it's interesting, the two things, because we're dealing with, I've gone and worked in the field of accessibility, which completely understands my needs, right? And you've gone and taken complete control and you're your own boss, where you've got your own environment, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's you. I mean, there's no. You don't have to. I have to tell people. I have to tell people when I start a new job what this is and how that is.
I've managed to kind of find my way in the world in doing things where I don't need to constantly explain, where I'm not expected to read small things, things at a distance, and I can choose my own hours. I also have children, so.
Yeah, the hours is a big thing.
Yeah, and I teach from home. I've got a studio in my garden, so all of that works very well. I control the lighting in my studio. It's nice and dim, so it doesn't affect my eyes. I have small classes, so I can see what everyone's doing. And what I do, I don't need to see small details. And then the other aspects of my work, the performance stuff, the emphasis is on the bigger picture, so it doesn't really matter. I don't have people looking at my eyes wondering if I'm off my face on acids or things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. I didn't actually think about this until I put the slide together, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting that we've both, you know, it's knowing us, you know, and what we're like. So different ways of dealing with the same thing. And I've worked at Site Improve for 6 years now, and I think that's quite a long time. You know, I'm 36. 6 years at somewhere is quite a while, and I think that, well, it is these days anyway. And now the thought, I'm like, yeah, I'll move any day now, yeah, you know, like, screw this place. But actually, the empathy that my colleagues have for me and the understanding that the business has about the topic and, you know, the whole thing is really big, you know, like going into a new environment. They've got these tiny, you know, they've got the sort of the UX board, you know, and everything is printed out in tiny writing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't engage with that, you know. So that's another factor. You know, you really on one hand, yeah, I'd like to do what I want, you know, but on the other hand, there are these things that niggle in the back of your mind, like, will you be accepted? Will it work out? Will you be able to see how many people will you have to explain it to? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think we're going to have to kind of, you know, speed up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm saying it for myself because I like to talk.
You're the talking guy.
So the number 8 bus, I like the number 8 bus because it used to look, in my world, very different from all the other buses. It had a different shape than the other buses on my route. So I could actually spot the bus further away than I'd ever been able to spot buses, right? Because I can't see the numbers until it's gone past. But the shape of the thing, wonderful. So if we could have more variation in the shape of transport.
Or even a different colour. There's a bus that goes there, mine hasn't, it has a pink thing on it, and I know that's a 275.
It's the pink bus.
I can see the pink. But yeah, something like that.
I've got Uber, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The Uber, you know, like, Uber driver picked me up the day and he put his flashers on. And it was a little bit of a gamble, you know, because maybe he wasn't the Uber driver. He was, and I said, dude, why did you put your lights on? And he said, oh, so you knew, you knew it was me. And I was like, wow, man, that is fantastic. Have you been told to do that? And he said, no, I just figured it might be helpful. He didn't know anything about me. I hadn't used the Uber Assist. And I had this myth about them projecting lights on to the pavement or something like that, so people would be able to tell that that's an Uber car and it's not, it's not someone else with bad intentions. But like something like that, can they not just put the like the Rude Boys? They have the lights on the. Do you not have like a flashing? It'd be really genuinely very helpful. Departure gates in the airport, take a photograph of it because I can't read it. So if you see someone photographing the departure gates.
It's not just taking the photograph and then zooming in.
Zooming in heavily.
That's the key.
That is the key. Yeah. Or you could just zoom in. But the holding up and the pinch zoom, it's easier to take a picture. Yeah, menus in the dark. And what's this thing up here?
This is my favourite thing. This is the green line that goes from Old Street Tube Station to Moorfields Eye Hospital.
Oh, yes.
And when I found that, it was very exciting. It's one of the only times that I didn't get lost going somewhere new.
Definitely. It's really, really beneficial. I had a similar thing in Vienna, actually, that led from the sort of central station round to the underground. And it was just a track. Airports have them sometimes. Even in the what do you call it? The duty free, when you go through. You go past the. You know what I'm saying? When you get past security, there's a pathway. It's a different colour from the shop colour. It's the same floor, same level, but it's clearly different. And it's just sort of an easy thing to follow. The contrast is not very good, but it's a sort of embossed green piece of lined cement on the pavement there that takes you right up to the entrance of Moorfields, which is great. So Uber. Let's talk. We'll do Uber in a minute. This is Roger Johansson. He's quite like grumpy. But he says some really cool things, and this is a nice introduction into the technology piece. So he's saying, try to use iPad, iPhone to browse site and buy stuff. Find that the site won't zoom, go to competitor's site that allows zoom, and then buy stuff. So that's like the compelling, business sense. Of course, we want people to buy stuff. But that's a genuine problem, right? The apps, native apps that you cannot zoom into, I'm not really looking to use those. I've got a couple of examples, so I don't want to dwell on it also because we've only got 10 minutes left, right, Alistair? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go over Waitrose because this is Sainsbury's. So let's just skip over that. But I will say, this was a problem, the thing I'm not going to show you, but it's not anymore. So it is kind of pointless anyway, right? Yeah? Good. Let's move on. This is a little bit more interesting. This is the Site Improver, a Danish company, and I have to use the Norwegian Air app to check in, and this is it when I'm zoomed in. As you can see, there's all kinds of weird things going on here. Look at the button at the top. God knows what that is for. Look at the truncation here. It's not even truncation, it's clipped. Booking reference 6C. Last name as it appears. And then some stuff down there. If I adjust the setting, the font size on here, and go back to the app, all of a sudden, I've even got my booking reference, which was completely missing in the previous screen. So, and there's a load more of these, and I think the slides will go out. Will they? Will people get hands on the slides? Can do, right? Yeah, I'm happy to share these. So maybe we'll take that picture out first. But basically, I won't go through all of this stuff, but the technology is fantastic, right? Because it's not, brick and mortar. Is that what you call it? Whatever. It's not a house. It's not a structure. It's malleable. You can do what you want with it. So it's so powerful, right? Uber, they actually do this really well. There's the two different versions here. And there's barely any difference between the user experience of the zoomed-in version and the non-zoomed-in version. But when you don't allow me to consume the information in the way that I need to consume it, right, with such a malleable medium, that is just bonkers. Why would you do that? Why would you? I don't come and tell people we don't go around there and say, you have to zoom into that. to do it. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? I'd be like, no, man, zoom in. You cannot buy that unless you zoom into it. I mean, that would just be ridiculous. And that is essentially what's happening. The power is there. It's right there. It's just, you know, a finger pinch, whatever, away. And if you can't do it, not just a finger pinching, if things are cut off, then it's just such a waste of such a powerful medium. So let's just go skip over a load of stuff. This is Monzo. I haven't got much money at the moment. Zoomed in. It's an absolute mess. Shame. We spoke about this, and I'd love to talk more about it, but I do want to leave a little bit of time for maybe one or two questions. So I'm gonna skip over it. But shame is huge, and I will go as far to say it's not just me and Rose as albinos feeling shame. Like everyone in the room has experienced shame. And I think there's this sort of idea that maybe disabled people are on one side of the fence and all the normal people are on the other. And this creates this sort of finger pointing, shaming, which makes it a very difficult topic for people who are not disabled to talk about or empathise with or entertain. So anyway, I'd love to, if you want me to talk about it, I'll talk about it another time. But autonomy, we talked about this. Technology, autonomy, we were looking for something
profound that was beyond just a soundbite. Essentially, though, that autonomy has a benefit for everyone, for society as a whole. If we can be autonomous, that has a knock-on effect across the board.
Yeah, when we can participate and give what we've got to offer, when we're not excluded, that contributes to everything, not just economy, of course, but to ideas and open-mindedness and diversity and everything. And I did try to sort of make some sense out of this. Autonomy, having the freedom to act independently, is massive, right? But also taking that a step further, just having the ability to act in the first place. When you literally sort of side someone down and say, no, you can't do that because you can't see well enough, you're taking away my independence. And if you think about user experience in anything digital, online, offline, that's what we're talking about here. Let me engage how I need to engage, and I will be happy. I will be participating. I will be loyal. I will buy. I will spend, talk, share. Do you know what I'm saying? And without those things, then I just tend to, you sort of go the other way.
Yeah.
So I've actually kind of cut this whole thing short. So there's a lot more content in here, but I think that's probably a good place to leave it for today. But we'd be very, very, very happy to talk to you tonight or any other time, very openly, very honestly about using technology or just, whatever, going about, pole dancing or being a digital accessibility guy. So, thank you all very much for listening.
So we've got a few questions. I'll go through the questions and then I'll take the microphone round. So, does albinism affect your children? How did your parents help you through your challenges, and how in turn do you as a mum help your children cope?
So none of my children have albinism, and that is just a bit of genetic luck, really. You need both parents to carry the gene, and then it's something like a 1 in 4 chance that you'll have an albino child. So we're 2 albinos out of 5 siblings in our family, and I have 3 children, none of which are albinos. Our parents were very much, no one's looking at you, you're just normal, just get on with it, that sort of thing, which is great in some ways.
But then when you're 15, you look in the mirror and you realise the first time that your right eye is crossing, it's kind of like, oh my God, why didn't they tell me about this?
Yeah, so mixed bag there.
Terrifying experience, but
and what was the end of that question?
How in turn does albinism affect your children? How did your parents help you through your challenge? And how in turn do you as a mum help your children cope?
Well, my children don't have albinism, but they have all the other challenges of life. And I think my experience has given me a certain degree of empathy. So I tend to find empathizing with them through other experiences, school-related, growing up, all quite easy. Does that make sense?
I think, so that's the only question on this one. So I know there's a new one just come through, and then I'll run the microphone. No, we will run the microphone round the room. Question over here. Should I take one, do the other? Matthew.
Hi, my name's Matthew. Thank you for a wonderful talk. It really struck a lot of chords with me. I've got ocular albinism and nystagmus. Believe it or not, I used to be mistaken for the Milky Bar kid. And I've still got all my monoculars and magnifiers and large print dictionary from school and everything. I was very lucky to have a lot of support from family and everyone else as well. I just wanted to try out a metaphor that I came up with for explaining to people how we see. I kind of say to people that most people see in 4K and we're on standard definition still. And I wondered if you agreed with that.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean that's a funny thing, right? Because it's kind of like I don't even know what it looks like. So but I appreciate the thing, and but this is how I used to try and explain it. I'd be like, well, it's like when you, and I'm like, well, I don't really know what that is. So, yeah, I think certainly
like
makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, and it's cool to hear the solidarity there with all the gadgets and things. Yeah.
Although we can't see you. So.
We can't. Yeah, no idea where the voice is coming from. Yeah.
Any other questions? Don't be shy. Completely open to having questions asked.
I have a question about some of those products, and I don't understand some of the technology that well. But when you were zooming in, are there good apps? Are there apps that work well at this?
Basically, I've used an Android Note 8, so it's got quite a long, bigger screen. What's your phone that you're on?
It's like a Xiaomi something. It's
big
really big
thing, almost like a sort of phablet type thing. Basically web apps you can zoom into, like you have your Amazon app, right? You use that?
Yeah.
Yeah? You zoom into that thing?
Yeah, some apps do work better than others.
Native apps, you can't pinch zoom on a native app. So there's built-in zoom functionality on the phone, so you can triple tap, for example, on Android, and you can adjust the font for the operating system that can sort of tap into the apps, and you get that sort of messy sort of thing that I was showing earlier on. But yeah, native apps, you can't pinch zoom, and that's the immediate thing that I want to do when the font's not big enough. So that's a real barrier. So web apps for me, that's almost a little, I don't like that because it's sort of going back in time a bit, or it feels like that. But that's what's helpful for me. Otherwise, I just won't do it, and I'll wait until I go to a desktop and do whatever it is I wanted to do. Fine, yeah.
So there's a similar question that's come through, which is related, which is how would you change either the Monzo or the Uber app, particularly interested in the text resizing strategy? So what should people be doing?
It's a little bit hard for me to answer, and I think that's partly because I spent most of my time building websites and testing websites on desktops and displays that I'm comfortable using, which is a little bit, well, it is what it is. I think I've had a look today at some examples of something that, that is really just factoring that whole need for things to scale at different sizes right from the beginning of a product. So I feel like it's not so much as using another product to make those things more accessible to us. It's about, I know this is a sort of a bit of a cliche for people who come here regularly, but if it isn't factored in at the beginning, it just doesn't, it's not going to happen, it's not like a bathroom that comes with standards and things like that when you want it built. You really, if you don't factor it in, then it's not going to happen, especially for mobile apps. a sort of slightly convoluted answer. I'm not sure if I
Cheers.
answer that. Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay.
Any other questions? So,
Bryn, are there any plans to take your talk to commercial suppliers or service providers?
Any plans?
Yeah.
No, I have actually wanted to do this like for universities or in education for anyone learning early for building websites. But I mean, I would love to, absolutely love to do that. And I do talks sometimes, but it's more geared around like my work and products and things like that, as opposed to personal experiences. But I didn't learn about accessibility when I was learning about building websites, and I thought that was an absolute crying shame, So I would really like to do this at that level, but both makes sense.
I think we'll do one last question, and then we'll need to wrap up because we're 9 o'clock. Was there a question over there?
How do you experience the photography-based social media like Instagram or Facebook?
Okay, I use Instagram a lot for my work. So the text is awful because it doesn't get bigger. You have to triple tap and then you've got the whole thing you can't see the whole page or the whole screen all at once. You can pinch zoom in on an image, which is good.
But you have to hold it.
You have to hold it,
right?
But it's enough so you can kind of see what's going on.
But not too much. Don't want to see too much. Right.
That's a matter of opinion.
Yeah, matter of opinion, right. But that's very good. Twitter is great, but by the time I've composed the tweet, the whole conversation has moved on. So I don't really like that. And LinkedIn is fine. It's a bit like Facebook for business, I suppose. I certainly don't use those on my phone. Too fiddly, too
I
small.
use Instagram on my phone all the time, and that's partly why I have such a big phone, so that I can navigate it.